Many scholars and saints who have made a huge contribution to the development of world civilization have reached their perfection in Bukhara city, located in the southwest of the Republic of Uzbekistan, in the lower reaches of the Zarafshan River. Among them stands out Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani, the first of the 7 spiritual mentors of Bukhara, the founder of the famous Khwajagan Naqshbandi dynasty in the Muslim East. He was born in 1103 in Ghijduwani, a city located near Bukhara. As indicated in the works Matlabut Talibin and Maqamati Yusuf Hamadani, his father Abdul Jamil didn't have children until the age of 113. He, the descendant of Imam Malik, was reputed to be a man with deep knowledge who mastered the explicit and secret sciences of his time. Endless prayers for the gift of children were finally answered, and Allah gave him a son. The name of this son, who became famous throughout the world as Abdul Khaliq, is revered with great respect, along with great spiritual mentors in the anthologies of that time, in particular in the works of Nafahatul Uns, Baharistani by Abdurrahman Jami, as well as Nasayimul Muhabbat by Alisher Navai. When Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani received primary education from his father, turned 5, he studied the Holy Quran and Tasfir, the discipline of its interpretation, from Imam Sadruddin, one of the scholars of Bukhara. His love for the science of comprehending the truth of Allah was awakened in him by his teacher Imam Sadruddin. 22-year-old Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani became a disciple of the famous spiritual preacher of his time, Sheikh Yusuf Hamadani, from the Iranian city of Hamadan, when he arrived in Bukhara. In addition to Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani, Yusuf Hamadani is the teacher of such great personalities in Islam and the science of comprehending the truth of Allah as Abdullah Barraki, Hassan Andeki, Ahmad Yassawi. Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani thoroughly studied tariqah while serving as a teacher until he returned to his homeland. Therefore, the roots of the Khwajagan tariqah, inherited from Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani, led to Yusuf Hamadani. Abdul Khaliq, who has grown up and reached the level of an impeccable tariqah mentor, chooses the pseudonym Ghijduvani. By doing this, he expresses infinite love for his homeland, for the land on which he himself was born and grew up. Tall, broad-shouldered, with an open face and a big head, Abdul Khaliq always excelled in science, had a sharp mind, was an attentive, sensitive person with a gentle character. Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani, who owns the sign of Sufism, gets engaged in the education of self-control, and as a result, he reaches a high level of development of supernatural abilities, but hides his holiness and miraculous abilities from others. The Venerable Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani hasn't made any discoveries in religion, hasn't introduced any innovations, but he is a person who has proved how much a person can achieve spiritual development by deeply studying the Holy Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet. He assured that, thanks to the gradual knowledge of the Quran and the Sunnah, a person cultivates self-control, cleans his soul, thereby becoming closer to Allah. The difference between the Khwajagan Naqshbandi tariqah and other tariqahs lies in the correspondence of the path of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. To the path followers, the Sheikhs of Khwajagan Naqshbandi proclaim to everyone the following well-known and familiar statements of the Khwajagan Naqshbandi tariqah. Let the heart be with God, hands to work, soul to Allah. Don't forget the word Allah for a single breath, and when inhaling, pronounce the name of Allah, and when exhaling, say Allah. At the same time, and during breaks, don't forget Allah. Work tirelessly. Let the inner world be with Allah and the body in the service of the people. The fact that the Khwajagan Naqshbandi tariqa was based on living conditions and available human capabilities indicates that it was tariqa with a strong foundation, meeting the requirements of all times and all strata of society. The path of Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani, which meets the criteria of Sharia, free from sediments, fictions and shortcomings, has been recognized through the centuries as a reliable argument and proof. Today, there are ample opportunities for our co-religionists living in different parts of the world to make a pilgrimage to our blessed land at least once, where Islamic scholars created. This is especially emphasized by foreign tourists and pilgrims who have arrived in our region. At first, I was looking for information about Bukhara on the internet. I became convinced that reality is much more beautiful than what I saw on the internet. This is a great spiritual land. I feel happy. In fact, we don't divide Uzbekistan and other Turkic states. We say that we are all Turks, we are one family. I'm very pleased that I made a pilgrimage to Bukhara, having arrived in Uzbekistan. Naqshbandi is very famous in Turkey. We call the 7 spiritual mentors of Bukhara Silsila-i Saadat. There was a program on television last year. I watched it to the end. The main reason for my arrival was what I saw in this program. Here, I was filled with spiritual power. Thanks a lot. Venerable Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani and other 7 holy mentors are considered teachers and students. They took care of each other directly, learned from each other and continued their activities in accordance with the teacher-disciple tradition. Interestingly, the age difference between the Venerable Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani and the 7th saint Bahauddin Naqshbandi is about 150 years. But Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani calls Bahauddin Naqshbandi his spiritual teacher. Although the manner of our spiritual leader was his contemporary, Hazrat Sayyid Amir Kulal, nevertheless Bahauddin Naqshbandi learned the skill of quiet zikr from Haji Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. In this regard, this person was also called Mentor Uvaisi, who conducted training by the method of spiritual connection Uvaisi without physical presence. The population of Bukhara calls the Venerable Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani Hujai Jahan, the master of the world. His duties included the training of the Padishah, who was a saint whose prayers turned it into reality. But despite this, such a great man bequeathed to bury himself at the feet of his mother, because according to the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, paradise is under the feet of mothers. I have always been very interested in Uzbekistan. Now I'm traveling through this beautiful country. We are very glad to come here. Now we are going to travel to Samarkand. The great work of Hoja Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani is not marked by the foundation of a new tariqa by him. With the help of the tariqa Khwajagani, he adopted the sunnah, word and deed of Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, cleansed it from various unclean and incorrect views. He turned the observance of Sharia, its non-distortion, into a basic rule, made it mandatory to be in society, refusing to be a hermit and loneliness. He established the main requirement of halal lukma, honest life, the need for everyone to provide for their lives through their work. Today, folk and traditional methods are used in architectural solutions, construction forms and ornaments of mausoleums, tombs, mosques built in our country in honor of religious mentors. This is one of the important aspects that attract people to make pilgrimages to these ancient monuments. Take a look at this new mosque. This mosque corresponds to the ancient Bukhara style. The mosque was rebuilt in accordance with the traditions of national architecture. This altar behind us is created in the style of Koshna. The elements were originally brought from Iran, and Bukhara craftsmen created this beautiful altar in more than 2 years. Each segment, each part, each element was cut separately using different shapes, in a sense giving a separate life to each detail. Here is such beautiful picture in a national style created by our masters. In this mosque, these doors are also made in the Bukhara style. It turns out that only the Bukhara style differs in that women were attracted to this craft. And the elegant, delicate patterns created by women are formed on the basis of carving. And this is also made in the old Bukhara style. The choice of this color in the mosque is not accidental. Allah mentions the word Sahra in Surah Barakah in the Quran. In a verse, it is noted that this color is pleasing to the eye, giving bliss. Therefore, this color is not chosen in vain. At the same time, the dome is made in ancient national style. 8 half domes mean 8 paradise doors. The first 10 verses of Surah Yasin are painted on top, and the domes are executed in the ancient Bukhara style. To this day, before the appearance of such works as Hoja Yusuf Hamadani maqomlari, tariqat odoblari, Hoja Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvanining aytganlaridan, Ruboilar by Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani. These works were studied by Sufi scholars and translated into different languages. Although Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani became famous for his beautiful, mystical rubais, but a small part of them, 15 rubais, reached nowadays. These rubais are found in such works as Maqamat Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvaniya, Hoja Arif Rifgari, Tazkirai Naqshbandiya. Our group came from the Yangier Mahalla of the Hawas district of the Sirdarya region. The well-being of this complex is admired. The beauty of this place pleases the human eye. We'll call people to such places of pilgrimage. We visit these holy places so that the Almighty will accept our pilgrimage and hear our prayers. Ameen. Pay attention to this lattice. It has a 500-year history. The difference of this lattice is that it's made by a special casting method, and as experts say, it was created using complex technology. So it is difficult for an ordinary person to determine the junctions of its parts. It attracts attention that in each junction, the words of the confession of faith, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, are fully present. The sheikhs of the Khwajagan Naqshbandi tariqa speak of the need to fix the remembrance of Allah in the heart, as the name of Allah is carved on iron. These details give a hint that you must fix the name of Allah in your heart forever. Major Sufis of later times studied the teachings of Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani and compiled commentaries on them. Famous under the pseudonym Mahmud Azam Ahmad ibn Maulana Jalaluddin Hojagi Kasani, in the work Risalai Chahar Kalima, commented on 4 principles of Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani. The main part of Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani's teaching about Sufism is described in the work Risala by Maulana Sa'addin Kashgari, the teacher of Abdurrahman Jami. When construction and repair work was carried out around the complex, the root of the plant was found during excavations. After a thorough examination, it was found that it was the root of the Oyster tree, and 3 oyster seedlings were delivered to our complex. This is the first tree of oyster, the other 2 we'll see in the courtyard of the complex. It is easy to notice the difference between the oyster tree that grows near the reservoir and these 2 trees inside the complex, despite the fact that they are surrounded by stones. Through this greenery and this splendor, you can see the discrepancy between seedlings of the same age. It seems they received the blessing of our ancestor Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani. As a result of the former Soviet policy, our rich cultural and spiritual heritage was subjected to violence. In 1957, the swimming pool was filled in, the mosque and madrasa were turned into a chemical warehouse. A large number of burials appeared around Ghijduwani's grave. The territory of the complex was used as hay and wheat bazaars. After gaining independence, mosques and madrasas were landscaped and placed at the disposal of our people. The mosque and the sanctuary of Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani underwent major repairs. In 2003, in connection with the 900th birth anniversary of Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani, large-scale landscaping works were continued. Undoubtedly, these works are based on high attention to the shrines of the 7 spiritual mentors as objects of world-class tourism, as well as the creation of favorable conditions for domestic and foreign tourists and pilgrims seeking to visit these places. I was amazed by the natural beauty of Uzbekistan that I saw. Uzbeks are very tolerant and hospitable people. I was impressed by the fact that your country is surrounded by greenery and flower beds. France is currently in a drought. Your country has a lot of water resources, and despite the dry and hot climate, everything around is blooming and fragrant. I was surprised to see this. I would certainly recommend everyone to visit Uzbekistan. It is really fascinating to see such beauty in this country. Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani died in Ghijduwani in 1179. After the victories Amir Timur returned from the Chinese War, he conceived the construction of a madrasa and a mausoleum in honor of Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani, but he failed to achieve his desire. Mirza Ulugh Beg realizes the noble intention of his grandfather, and in 1433 he builds a madrasa, a library, and a stone bathhouse in the city of Ghijduwani. Bukhara Emir Abdullah Khan erects a mosque, a tower, and a pond in honor of Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani. Undoubtedly, the one who meets the dawn at the tombstone of Abdul Khaliq Ghijduvani, he is seized by pleasant sensations and he feels the lightness of the soul. It is as if the winged words spoken by him sound from the grave of the great mentor, which has been rising for more than 9 centuries. O child, I bequeath to you, whatever happens, to remain in knowledge, decency, and piety.